Our next senior is from Grand Island, New York. Number 23, Manny Montez. Manny has played in 19 career games in his 2 seasons at Lenoir-Rhyne. He is being accompanied by his mother, Tina Montez, and sister, Madeline Montez. Number 23, Manny Montez. Our next senior is from Sanford, North Carolina. Number 14, Topher Grant. Grant has played in 31 career games for the Bears and has hit a pair of home runs. Being accompanied by his parents Molly and Scott and his brother Carson. Number 14, Topher Grant. Our next senior is from Syracuse, New York. Number 4, Xander Verlinda. Verlinda has played in 61 career games in his 2 seasons at Lenoir-Rhyne and owns a 309 career batting average, 7 home runs, and 40 runs batted in. Being accompanied by his mom, Christina, and his sisters, Olivia and Sophia. Number 4, Xander Verlinda. Our next senior is from Ellenboro, North Carolina. Number 43, Thomas Mullinax. Mullinax is being accompanied by his parents and his brother and sister. Number 43, Thomas Mullinax. Our next senior is from Germantown, North Carolina. Number 30, Andrew Titley. Titley pitched in 7 career games before an injury cut his career short. Being accompanied by his parents Mark and Annette and brothers William and Reed. Number 30, Andrew Titley. Our next senior is from Trinity, North Carolina, number 20, Zach Lambert. Zach is being accompanied by his parents Scott and Jennifer, as well as Aaron. Number 20, Zach Lambert. Our next senior is from Santa Monica, California, number 16, Lowell Shipper. Lowell is being accompanied by his mom, Catherine, number 16, Lowell Shipper. And our final senior is from Springfield, Illinois, number 12, Damian Pierce. Pierce has played in 18 career games for the Bears and hit a pair of home runs, being accompanied by his mom Jen and sister Natalie. Number 12, Damian Pierce.
I see your dirty face hide behind your collar. What is done in vain? Truth is hard to swallow, so you pray to God to justify the way you live a lie, live a lie, live a lie. And you take your time, and you do your crimes. Well, you made your bed, I made mine. Because when I arrive, I'll bring the fire, make you come alive. I can take you higher, what this is. For God, I must now remind you, let it rock, let it rock, let it rock. Now the
And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another day of Lenoir-Rhyne baseball here in Hickory, North Carolina, as the Bears will host South Atlantic Conference foe Newberry. The Newberry Wolves come in today with a record of 21-12, 18-8 in the conference. Bears stand at 22-16, 18-12 in the conference. Tough day for ball and bat sports at Lenoir-Rhyne yesterday. The women's softball team lost a doubleheader to Carson Newman. One of those games went into extra innings, and even tougher to swallow, the Bears dropped a pair to Newberry yesterday, and both of those games were extra innings. Came in expecting 16 innings of baseball and got 21, and unfortunately in both of those games the Bears fell. Game 1, Newberry won 6-3 in 11 innings, and in Game 2, Newberry took that one also 6-5 in 10 innings. So this is the last regular season games, conference games for the Bears, as they now look to head into the South Atlantic Conference tournament, which I believe takes the top 8 teams in the league. Bears need to do some work today, because as of right now they stand 6th in the standings, Newberry at 3rd, and I'm sure after yesterday they certainly want to try to take a pair from Newberry and pay them back from those 2 losses yesterday. 15 seniors recognized today prior to the game. It was senior day yesterday for softball, and I was mentioning over on that stream that it's kind of a special day for everybody, and not just for the players, the parents certainly also, but the coaches and the faculty and staff here at Lenoir-Rhyne, and the other fans and parents who've watched all these guys play for sometimes 4 years and have been on the team maybe for 5, and you get to know them, and you get to know them around campus. You get to know them on the field and in the dugout, and parents certainly get to know their sons' friends and that sort of a thing. We're going to take a short break here for the national anthem. And we're back, everyone, after the national anthem here, and we're going to get started with some baseball. Nice day today, partly cloudy. Sun's doing a pretty good job so far. A little bit of wind, as you may suspect, and a little bit warm. Feels like spring, and I guess that's what it's supposed to feel like this time of year. Weather, if you watched yesterday, if I was over doing softball, if you watched yesterday, the weather kind of couldn't make its mind up what it wanted to do, and got a couple of sprinkles. Was real cloudy for parts of the day and real sunny for parts of the day, and it kept going back and forth. So I don't know what today will hold as far as that goes. But honestly, if there's no rain, then I think we're in good shape, and I don't believe there's supposed to be any. I'm going to run over those starting lineups real quick for the two teams. Newberry will come to the plate first. As I said, they come into the game 21-12, 18-8. Zachary Bales will be the DH. Luke Orr at first base. Jack Harris in right field. Aiden Bauer will play third base for the Wolves. Colin Allman will be at shortstop. Nick Butler, the left fielder. Ian Clements, the catcher. Zane Terrence in center. Dalton Lansdowne will play second base. And Matthew Campbell will be on the mound for Newberry today. Starting lineup for the Bears, a lot of familiar names. If you followed the Bears over the course of the season, E.J. Rennell will lead off and is the DH. Will Jones in right field. Matt Mackey at first base. Nick Clarno will play third base today. Drew Galassi in center. Xander Ferlinda will be the shortstop. Bryce Stover behind the plate. Mike McHugh in left field. Wayne Kuda at second base. And today's starter for the Bears, Josh Lanham. And I think Josh, last week or the week before, was the South Atlantic Conference Pitcher of the Week. So he's done a good job for the Bears this year, as has this pitching staff for much of the year. Kind of a heartbreaker, as I mentioned. The Bears dropped 2 to Newberry yesterday, both in extra innings, but not because of the pitching of Alex Shirazi. So in Game 1, he threw 10 innings, which was a career high for him, only gave up 5 hits, struck out 9. He did not allow a run past the third inning. So 7 innings, 7 straight innings of giving up no runs before being pulled in that game. So it looks like we're getting ready to get started as Lanham gets the ball from Nick Clarno and looks around the infield and walks up on the mound with Zachary Bales leading off for the Newberry Wolves. Lanham pitching out of the stretch as he will face Bales here. And the first pitch of the ball game is now. And a little bit high for a ball. For those of you from Newberry who may be listening, I want to apologize a little bit in advance. I've been at Lenoir-Rhyne for 36 years, and for many of those years, Newberry was the Indians, and now are the Wolves. I understand that, but if I do slip up, I apologize. It was not with intent. If it makes you feel any better, baseball and softball games I've done at least once every game, I've called the Bears the Braves. So, anyway. And here's the pitch to Bales. And ball 2. So count 2-1. We're just getting started here. Game 1, South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. And leadoff hitter Zachary Bales facing Josh Lanham. Here's the pitch from Lanham. And there's a strike. So 2-2 now the count. If you've watched Lenoir-Rhyne over the course of the year, you certainly are proud of what is a spectacular field. There's a drive to center. Looks like it's going to be right at Galassi, and it is. So out one recorded by Josh Lanham. And that will bring Luke Orr to the plate. He's starting at first base today for Newberry. Getting back to what I was getting ready to say, so proud of our new turf field. Thanks so much to the Durham family for their generosity in making this, has to be at the top of the, playing surfaces in the South Atlantic Conference. And strike 1 to Orr. 1 out here. Just getting going, top of the first. Doubleheader ahead of us. So good long day of baseball. Here's a pitch from Lanham. And there's a foul ball off to the left in Ms. Mauser's front yard. And counts quickly 0-2 with Josh Lanham ahead. And reached out. That might be another chance for Galassi. He comes in and can't get there, and that's going to be a little loop single to center, left center, for Luke Orr. So Newberry gets their first base runner, and Josh Lanham will face Jack Harris, Newberry right fielder. Harris steps in. Luke Orr on first for Newberry. Josh Lanham gets the pitch. And strike one. Lanham pretty calm on the mound. Takes his time. That's a good quality for a pitcher. Kind of stay in a groove, not get too out of sorts. And there's a throw to first, and Orr is back safely. Little cat and mouse here as Lanham now steps off the rubber. Been doing a lot of softball and filling in today for, I think, Anthony Brown typically does baseball games. He's participating somewhere off to my front right in a track meet here at Lenoir-Rhyne today. So, as I mentioned, we're pretty busy on campus today. Quickly, a 0-2 count. Now to Jack Harris. As Lanham, again, pretty deliberate on the mound. Harris steps in. And here's the pitch from Lanham. And that's going to be fouled off to the right. And, yeah, got a couple of cars over there. There's some parking just behind the visitors' dugout that some Bear Club members are in. And the trade out on that is there's certainly a risk of getting hit by a foul ball. Here's the pitch. And that's a little bit low. Count goes to 1-2. Lanham. Again, this is a pretty deliberate, slow-paced start here. Lanham could be a strategy on his part. Take a little bit of time and keep the batter a little off at the plate. A little dribbler foul to first base there. Matt Mackey scoops it up, gets the ball back to Lanham, and Luke Orr strolls back to first base. Lanham wants the field umpire to look at the ball. Or maybe he just figured the umpire might want to look at the ball. Anyway, regardless, he gets the same ball back. And Harris will step in with a 1-2 count here. Luke Orr on first for Newberry. And here's the pitch. And a swing and a miss. So down on strikes goes Jack Harris. And that's the second out of the inning. So, still with a runner on first, but now with 2 outs. And Aiden Bauer, Newberry's third baseman, will step in, batting from the left side. So far their batting orders alternated. Right, left, right, left. And a throwback a little bit closer that time. Know if Orr got distracted, or a nice attempt there by Lanham. Good pick by Matt Mackey. And here's the first pitch to Aiden Bauer. Lanham gets set, and he goes back to first. That was nice, too. Pitch is right there on the mark. If Orr were to slip up just a little bit, I think he'd be snagged there. Bauer steps in. Here's a pitch to Bauer. And that's a high fly. It's going to go foul off to the right and just out of play. Just over the brick wall in right field. Past the dugout, past a couple of sets of bleachers there that are close. Nice to see fans out gathered up on the hill. And here's the pitch to Bauer. And another foul ball, but the opposite direction. So that will roll into the Bears bullpen area. And quickly, Lanham's ahead here 0-2. So 2 outs, top of the first. Luke Orr stands at first for Newberry. He reached on a little bloop single to left center. And otherwise, Lanham, in deliberate fashion, has done pretty well. 0-2 the count, 2 outs here, top of the first. And there was another good throw, but Orr gets back. Hannum gets set, and here's the pitch to Bauer. And that's foul back. So the count remains 0-2. First game of our doubleheader. Bears with a little revenge on their mind, I would think, after 2 heartbreaking extra inning losses yesterday. And also, we recognized 15 seniors prior to the game today. And that adds a little something special to any games you're playing. Conference games you're getting at the end of the year. Here's a pitch from Lanham. And there's a drive to center. Is Glassy going to have room? Yes, he is. And that's out 3. So the little 1-out single from Newberry does not come back to haunt the Bears and Josh Lanham. And we will head to the bottom of the first. No score. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. Welcome back, everyone. Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball today on a nice, somewhat windy day here at Durham Field as the Bears are hosting Newberry for a South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. In between half innings, a little bit of, I guess, excitement over there in the parking lot up towards the track as looks like an ambulance pulled in. So we hope everyone's okay over there as we begin the bottom of the first. E.J. Rennell at the plate, and he flies to right. Looks like it's going to hold up there, and it does for 1 pitch, 1 out. Jack Harris making the catch, and Matthew Campbell on the mound for Newberry. So quickly, 1 away for the Bears as Will Jones steps in, one of the many seniors who was introduced excuse me, before the game. And an interesting twist or asterisk next to the term senior, or the status of senior this year. I'll come back to that, as Will takes a strike at the knees from Matthew Campbell. With everything that's gone on beginning, mid-spring seasons last year when the spring sports got shut down and a lot of players missed much of that season, here's a pitch high to Jones. Count goes to 1-1. The NCAA, and of course this year, if you followed any sports during the spring, and particularly, certainly the Bears as well, players are missing games, the teams are postponing games, and there's a two-hop single into left. Oh, Jones is going to try for two, and he's going to be in there. Nice job, Will Jones. Good hustle as a hopper just out of the reach of the third baseman there for Newberry. Went down the line and kind of slowed down enough that the left fielder had to cover some distance, get to the ball, and Jones heads up running play for Will Jones as he slides in for a double. And the Bears' first hit of the game. So nice job for Will Jones as Matt Mackey will step in, Bears first baseman, and RBI chance for Matt. I'll come back to the NCAA thing here in a moment. As Campbell gets set to pitch to Mackey, and that's a shot to center. Is it going to hold up? I think so. And quickly the ball comes back in, and there are now two away. Well, I was saying about the NCAA, there's just been such haphazard schedules here this spring, and then, of course, last spring getting shut down. NCAA waiving some eligibility and seasons of competition rules and to allow players to come back and sort of have a free year if they'd like to recoup that playing time in college. I imagine some of the Bears will take advantage of that next year. Nick Clarno steps in. Runner on second, Will Jones. Nice heads-up base run and gets him a double. And Clarno takes a pitch high, 1-0. Matthew Campbell on the mound for Newberry. As the wind picks up. Hard to tell from where I'm sitting, but feels like it might be blowing to left. Campbell gets set, and here's a pitch to Clarno. And there's a shot to the second baseman. He makes a nice backhanded play and comes up, and Clarno is out. So, one out double for Will Jones. The Bears can't capitalize, and we will head to the top of the second. No score here in Game 1 of our doubleheader. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
Everett Chevrolet Buick GMC is ready for another exciting football season. Everett has been a proud sponsor of the Lenoir-Rhyne Bears for 25 years, and we wish the Bears a safe and successful season. And August means it's all systems go for another winning season with the Carolina Panthers. We have a tradition of winning in the Carolinas, and when you want to be a winner in the car, truck, or SUV game, come see the sales and service champions at Everett, because if you didn't get an Everett deal, you dropped the ball, baby. Woo!
I knew that there was an opportunity to have my college paid for if I was good enough to play baseball at that level. That was going to make a big difference in my family. D2 baseball gave me an opportunity to play at a high level and to get an education that's going to be valuable for me throughout the rest of my life. I chose to take my experience of being a student athlete and pursue that within my career and to get a master's degree. If I wouldn't have had a baseball scholarship, there'd be no chance that I'm doing what I'm doing today.
And welcome back, everyone. Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball today in Hickory, as the Bears are hosting a South Atlantic Conference doubleheader against the Newberry Wolves. Bears entered today's game 22-16, 18-12 in a conference. Dropped a heartbreaking pair yesterday to this Newberry team, both in extra innings. So Bears looking to scratch back and hopefully return the favor here on Sunday at Durham Field. Josh Lanham on the hill for the Bears. Gave up a one-out single in the first, but no damage done there as he faces Colin Allman, the shortstop for Newberry. And here's a pitch. And a little bit high. Allman, I don't believe is probably the tallest person on the roster, and so he'll present some challenges, I think. And he waits for Lanham's pitch, And a swing and a miss. Nice job of Josh Lanham there. 1-1 to count. If you just joined us, you hadn't missed a lot. 1 out single for Newberry and a 1 out double by Will Jones of the Bears. Neither team was able to push those base runners across, so we stand here scoreless in the top of the second. 1-2 the count now for Lanham as he faces Colin Allman, Newberry's shortstop. And here's the pitch. And that's a ball. Must have been outside. It's a tough angle for me. I'm on the roof of the dugout here, just about almost to third base. So I can see high and low, but have a tough time seeing inside and outside on the plate. 2-2 down the count. And foul ball back. Looks like that one might make the street. And the count remains 2-2. Hoping everything's okay over at the track, as now another ambulance is pulled up, and there's a lot of flashing lights over there. So hoping everything and everyone are well there. Pitch low there, and the count goes full to Allman. No outs here, top of the second. Bases are empty. And here's the pitch. And there's a swing. Catcher drops it. Stober makes a nice throw to Mackey and records out. So strikeout and 2-3 put out there for the first out here in the top of the second. Nick Butler steps in, the left fielder for Newberry. He had a little action in the field in the bottom half of the first as Will Jones hit a high hopper over the third baseman's head, but he kind of died out there down the left field line, and Butler had to cover a lot of ground to get to the ball, and some heads-up base running by Will Jones got him to second. And gave the Bears a chance, but unfortunately we couldn't cash in. And there's strike one to Butler. Here's the pitch, and strike two. Bryce Stober behind the plate for the Bears here as he and Lanham communicate on the pitch. Lanham pitching out of the stretch. And here it is. And there's the ball. So count 1-2 now. 1 out here. Top of the second. Lanham gets set. And here's the pitch. That one looks low. Ball 2. So Lanham ahead in the count 0-2. Now it runs to 2-2. Bears outfield of Mike McHugh, Drew Galassi, and Will Jones, left to right. Stand ready as Lanham faces Nick Butler. Here's the pitch, and there's a swing and a miss. Second strikeout of the inning for Lanham, third so far in an inning and 2/3. And quickly 2 outs for Newberry with Ian Clements coming to the plate. Clements working behind the plate for Newberry today. And will step in for his first at-bat. And there's a strike by Lanham. Seems to be working a little quicker here in the second inning. Very, very deliberate in the first. Lanham got out of the first unscathed and has a chance to go 1-2-3 here in the second. And that pitch must have been outside. Count goes to, I thought it was 2-0. I'll have to check the scoreboard here in a second. No, 1-1. My mistake. Lanham gets set. facing Ian Clements. And Clements shows bunt, but looked like it bounced off the plate maybe, because it took a pretty good hop back to the screen. So the count now 1-2. Nice day here in Hickory. Partly cloudy, a little breeze, warm enough. And here on Clement steps out. As I mentioned, Lanham's pretty deliberate on the mound. Might see some Newberry hitters step out here and there. Here's a pitch from Lanham, and there's a ground ball to third. Clarno fields it cleanly and goes over to Mackey's a poor throw, and Clement is going to be safe. So nice snag by Clarno, but throw a little bit further out than Mackey was going to be able to handle it first. And the E5 puts Ian Clement on first base, and Zake Terrence, Newberry center fielder, comes to the plate. So Newberry with a base runner. It's a catcher, so I'm not sure how concerned Lanham will be. Nothing against catchers. But typically, well, so much for that theory. He's off and running, and he's going to be safe. Wow. So my apology to all catchers. I was about to say typically don't think about catchers being base stealing threats, but that was not the case with Ian Clement, as he now stands at second base with 2 outs and Zach Terrence a chance to drive in the game's first run. Lanham comes set. Pretty good lead for Clement there at second. And the pitch hits Zane Terrence. So Lanham been cruising along, pitching well, hitting the strike zone, getting ahead of hitters. And other than the single, back in the first inning to center, left center, really seemed in command, but that one got a little away from him, and Zach Terrence now stands on first after being hit by a pitch. Ian Clements is on second. There's 2 outs, though. And Lanham facing Dalton Lansdowne. So first little bit of a pickle for Lanham today, although it's early on. See how he works his way around this one as he comes set to face Dalton Lansdowne. And here's the pitch. And ball 2. So all of a sudden, a little bit of a control issue for Josh. Hit batter in a couple of balls. And the Newberry second baseman, Dalton Lansdowne, is ahead in the count. Lanham gets set. And here's the pitch. And there's a strike. So see if that settles Josh down a little bit. Runners on first and second for Newberry, but there are 2 outs, so no damage done here if Josh can get Dalton Lansdowne. Bears will come into the dugout in a game that remains scoreless, but still need to get this batter. Lanham comes set. Here's the pitch to Lansdowne, and that's strike 2. So nice rebound for Josh Lanham. Hit a batter, then the next 2 pitches were balls, and now he's thrown a couple of strikes and pulls the count even at 2-2. Lansdowne in the box, and here's a pitch from Lanham, and it's a little chopper foul third, and the Newberry third base coach almost made a clean play. But one-handed, he's got a timer in his hand. So Lansdowne step back in, 2-2 the count, 2 outs here, top of the second. Newberry with a little bit of a threat here, runners on first and second. Josh Lanham, he's set, and here's the pitch. And a little reach swing and he will go down on strikes. So a little bit of an intense moment there for the Bears here in the top of the second, but Lanham ends up striking out the side, and we'll go to the bottom half with this game still scoreless. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. And welcome back. Bottom of the second here. Lenoir-Rhyne baseball today as they face Newberry in a South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. The way the conference sort of altered their conference game schedule, I guess due to COVID and a variety of other things. Typically would play a single game Friday, doubleheader Saturday with rain as a Sunday as a rain day. But this year, of course, if you followed either Newberry or Lenoir-Rhyne baseball, just off the bat of Drew Galassi, you know that it's a Saturday doubleheader and a Sunday doubleheader, with each day having a 7-inning game and a 9-inning game. So this actually, game one, would be a 7-inning game with a couple of asterisks, which I'll get to in a minute, as Matt Campbell faces Drew Galassi, who leads off the bottom of the second for the Bears. If the 7-inning game goes into extra innings, what would have been game two, a 9-inning game, would have been cut back to 7. And there's a shot by Galassi just past the diving second baseman. He's going to have a single there as the right fielder makes a play for Newberry, and a leadoff hitter on for the Bears, Drew Galassi. Single there to right center. A diving Dalton Lansdowne made a good effort for Newberry. Just past his glove, and Xander Ferlinda will step in, and maybe the Bears can start a rally here. Matthew Campbell. I don't know if he goes by Matt or not, so I will call him Matthew, unless told otherwise. And he will come set to face Xander Ferlinda. Drew Galassi on first for the Bears, and that pitch is high and well out of the strike zone. No score here, but a leadoff single for the Bears, and hopefully they can turn this into a little rally. There's a shot by Ferlin, and it's in the gap between short and third, and he's going to reach on a single. And now the Bears have 2 men on and no outs for Bryce Stober. So back-to-back singles for Lenoir-Rhyne. And they have a little threat going here as Drew Galassi stands in scoring position with Bryce Stober, Bears catcher, at the plate. Campbell, little communication. Looks like maybe a signal from the Newberry shortstop. Lots of things going on in baseball once there's people on the bases. Game of great strategy. And Campbell set and steps off. Galassi can run. Shortstop out for the Wolves. Colin Allman making some signals. He did jump behind Galassi there And a little faint effort of a pickoff. But now Campbell comes set, and he goes to Stober, who squares the bunt but pulls back and takes ball 1. So a lot of options here for Lenoir-Rhyne. Bunt certainly could get runners to second and third with only 1 out. Mike McHugh coming to the plate. He could be swinging, or, as I said, a lot of things can happen. A lot of different options in baseball. Campbell shakes his head like this is the pitch he wants, and he gets set. Looks back at Galassi and comes to the plate, and Stover around a bunt again, and it's a good bunt. Their only play is going to be at first if he can even get there. And no, he's safe. Nice bunt and hustle by Bryce Stober. And what I think was intended just to be a sacrifice on Stober's part, with great hustle, turns into an infield single. And the Bears now have bases loaded and no outs in the top of the second. It was right where he wanted a bunt to be. There was no way the catcher was going to make a play, so Campbell was going to have to come off the mound. And I think he did what he was supposed to do, which is look at third first to see if he had a play there. When he didn't, he turned to throw, and Stober got down the line. So nice hustle by Bryce. And now pitching coach coming out for Newberry. I guess just to go over what's happening here, since there are bases loaded and no outs. So my initial thoughts back in the top of the second about maybe catchers not being great base runners, they're showing me something different, as Ian Clements from Newberry stole a base and Bryce Stober flew down the line on what was probably just supposed to be a sacrifice bunt and was safe. So the catchers today have some wheels. My apologies. And the meeting on the mound breaks up. Newberry pitching coach heads back to the dugout, and everyone returns to their spots. And the Bears with a great chance to get on the board first here and potentially have a big inning. Bases loaded, no outs. There's no score here in the bottom of the second, but the Bears with a big threat. As Matthew comes set, and here's the pitch, and there's a strike. Imagine McHugh's going to be patient here, because the right pitch for him could lead to a couple of runs for the Bears. And after yesterday, I imagine they would like to get on the board early. And there's a little grounder to the third baseman. He's going to come home, and there's going to be outs. So the perfect thing that could happen for Newberry happened. And McHugh reaches on a fielder's choice, but Drew Galassi is out at the plate for out 1. Base is still loaded, though, for LR, as Wayne Kuda comes to the plate, second baseman for the Bears. And now he'll have an opportunity to get the Bears up early. Matthew Campbell. Sure, there's a lot going on in his mind with the bases loaded, and now has to come to the plate, and that pitch is high and away, it looked like, in ball 1. McHugh with some power. That would be the perfect scenario for the Bears. I think the perfect scenario for the Indians, or excuse me, I knew I was going to do that. Sorry, the Wolves happened in the previous batter. And there's ball 2. So McHugh ahead in the count now, 2-0, and he's got an opportunity to kind of wait for his pitch here. Oh, lots of things you could do. Here's the pitch from Campbell, and that's ball 3. So Campbell now in a pretty big spot with a 3-0 count, and the bases loaded. So no place to put Wayne Kuda here. 3-0 count to Kuda, and here's the pitch. And there's a strike. You don't want to say that 3-0 is going to be an automatic strike, but from my vantage point, it looked like it might have been a little bit high. Kuda gets set. Campbell's ready for the Wolves, and here's the pitch. And that's a strike. Wow. Kuda was taking his shin guard off there, and I can't blame him. That pitch looked a tad low to me. But instead, after being ahead in the count 3-0, Campbell has fought back to run it full. One out here. Bears on each base. So they try to push a run across here and take an early lead. And that's going to be a pop-up by Kuda. I don't know if it's going to, looks like it might stay fair. And the wind played some havoc with the ball, but nice catch there at first base by Luke Orr. And suddenly, with bases loaded and no outs, E.J. Rennell will come to the plate with 2 outs, trying to take advantage of what has been a great opportunity for Lenoir-Rhyne, but Newberry's had a couple of lucky options come to him, and Matt Campbell could get out of this inning. There's a strike to Rennell. Flew out to right back in the first. So Bears have already gone through the order and back to the top of the lineup here in the second. Bases loaded. 2 outs now, though. And here's a pitch from Campbell. And that's a little high and away, I think. And the count goes to 1-1. Matthew Campbell on the mound for Newberry. And has a chance to get out of what was a really dangerous spot. And Rennell fouls this one back. Count goes to 1-2. You hate to say his second inning could be a turning point in the game, but this would be a tough to take for the Bears if they get bases loaded with no outs and end up not being able to push a run across. E.J. Rennell's going to try to keep that from happening as he faces Matthew Campbell. Counts 1-2. 2 outs, top of the second. And Rennell hits a ground ball up the middle. The shortstop makes a play. Is he going to be able to? No. Bad throw, and there's going to be a safe play. Pretty heads up, safe play there by Bryce Stober at third. Shortstop made a good play, went to first, and a poor throw. Bounces pretty well off the Newberry dugout, though, and Bryce Stober thought about it briefly, trying to get home, but I think made the right choice in holding up. So, an E6 puts E.J. Rennell on first, and now the Bears still have bases loaded with 2 outs, but have taken a 1-run lead here against Newberry in the top of the second. So for Linda scores, and Matt Campbell will face Will Jones. He doubled back in the first. Little high hop over the third baseman's head, kind of dribbled out to left field, and some heads-up base running got Will to second. Let's see if he can get a hit here in his second as bad as well. Bases loaded with Bears. Bears have taken a 1-0 lead here. And there's a shot by Jones, but it's high. I think it's going to hold up probably for the center fielder, and it does. So Jones flies out to center, and the Bears leave the bases loaded, but do push 1 run across to take a lead here early in game 1 of our doubleheader. So we'll go to the third with the Bears leading 1-0 over Newberry. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
Tasha, did you know Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Hip-hop group tag team to help you plan dessert?
French vanilla, rocky road, chocolate peanut butter cookie dough. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there
Switch today and see all the ways you could save.
Welcome back, everyone. Lenoir-Rhyne baseball here as the Bears face Newberry in Game 1 of our South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. Last conference games of the year for Lenoir-Rhyne, and I believe the last home games as well, as they are trying to get in a position to head to the South Atlantic Conference tournament next weekend. Bears currently sit sixth in the South Atlantic Conference standings. Newberry is third, and Bears put themselves in a little bit of a spot after losing 2 to Newberry yesterday, both in extra innings, so a couple of heartbreaking losses, I know. And it must have just been that kind of day because LR softball lost a pair to Carson Newman, and that second game went into extra innings, and final score 2-1. 2 pitchers that really neither deserved to lose, but unfortunately didn't fall LR's way. And we start the top of the third. We're back to the top of the lineup for Newberry. Zachary Bales at the plate. He flew out to center back in the first. Designated hitter for Newberry, and here's the pitch, and that was a little bit high. Count goes to 1-1. Lanham's pitched well, Josh Lanham, for the Bears. Got a little bit of a pickle last inning. A couple of strikeouts, and then a error, and a hit batsman got runners on first and second for Newberry, but Lanham got himself out of that jam with his third strikeout of the inning, struck out the side. And we're back at the top of the order now. Lanham with 4 strikeouts in 2 innings. See what he can do here with Bales. And there's strike 3. So he quickly answered that question. Did Josh Lanham. And 5 strikeouts now and 2 1/3. And that was a good pitch sequence for the LR freshman from Augusta, Georgia. Luke Orr steps in. He has only hit for Newberry so far today, a single back in the first inning. He was unable to advance as Lanham got out of that fairly easily. And he takes ball 1 as Lanham gets set here for the second pitch. And that looked pretty, and it was. So, 1-1 the count now. Wind picked up a bit here. The flag's fairly stiff out in center field. And looks like it's blowing out. Hope that's not a bad omen. Lanham goes ahead and count 1-2 to Orr. Just hit a little bloop fly to near short left center, and neither Galassi or McHugh were able to get there. Here's a ground ball to second. Kuda makes a clean play, throws to first, and there's out 2. So nice play by Wade Kuda. Gets the second out of the inning, and Jack Harris steps in. Harris in right field for Newberry today. Struck out in the first. Let's see if Josh Lanham can repeat that here in the third. Bears up 1-0. We're 2 outs top of the third. Lanham comes set, and here's the pitch. And a little bit low, I think, 4-1. Wind's picked up even more now and continues, unfortunately, to blow out. And there's a chop foul down past the third baseline. And wow, what a nice carom. That was interesting. Hit the top of the brick wall, bounced up and hit the light pole back into the Bears dugout. And they were jumping around after it like you jump around for a bouquet at the wedding. I'm not sure who caught it, but it was a nice crab. 1-1 to count now to Jack Harris. Here's the pitch from Lanham. And a swing and a miss. Counts now 1-2. So Lanham seems to be in a bit of a groove here, and that's good news for the LR faithful. He's ahead and count now 1-2. 2 outs here, top of the third. No one on for Newberry, and Josh Lanham trying to dispose of Jack Harris. And that's a ball. Looks like the track meet has resumed up on the field above us. The flashing lights are gone, so we certainly hope everyone's okay over there. 2-2 the count to Jack Harris, and just got a piece of it foul back to the wall behind home plate. Nice black turf behind home plate with the big LR on it. And again, what a awesome field the home team gets to play on here. Thanks to the Durham family, their generosity and love for LR and support of our baseball program and athletics department. Josh Lanham sets 3-2 the count now to Harris, and he flies to left. That could be a little bit of a problem, and it is. Well, that wind blowing out, I guess maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that, because that was a pretty long home run to left by Jack Harris, and Newberry has tied this ball game with 2 outs here in the top of the third. Mother Nature can work for you or against you. And I guess in this case, wasn't necessarily our friend, because that's right where the wind was blowing. And there's a first pitch strike to Lanham. Let's see how he gets through this, with Newberry now having tied the score at 1. Only 2 hits for Newberry, but the second one was a big one. Did he go? Well, evidently, I don't know. And here's the pitch to Bauer. And that one looks low, and the count goes to 1-2. So we did get confirmation on that strike. Aiden Bauer at the plate for Newberry. He flew out to center to end the first. Let's see if Lanham can get to him to end the third. And if that pitch is low, counts now 2-2. As I've mentioned on some of my softball broadcasts, it sure feels nice to be outside watching live sports after the year we've all experienced. It's a good feeling. It's a beautiful day here today. There's a pitch, and there's a shot that just passed the second baseman as it's going to roll into center, and fielded by Drew Galassi. Aiden Bauer with a little kind of loop single there, but you know what they say. It's a line drive and a box score. As Colin Allman steps in for Newberry, starting shortstop. And Lanham gets set. Runner on first, 2 outs, score tied at 1. We're in the top of the third. And Allman takes ball 1. Lanham gets set and throws to first. Try to keep Aiden Bauer close here in a tie ball game. Still early though, just in the top of the third. This is game 1 of our doubleheader. This is scheduled to be a 7-inning game as Lanham comes with a pitch, and there's strike 1. 1-1 now the count. So as I mentioned, this is scheduled to be a 7-inning game, with game 2 going 9. There's a couple of scenarios where that could be altered. We'll get to those in a second. As Lanham trying to get out of this with only 1 run scoring. 1-1 to count. Here's the pitch. And there's a strike 2. So if Game 1 were to go past 7 innings, Game 2 would then become a 7-inning game. So we'll see how that works. As Lanham heading to count now 1-2, 2 outs, trying to end the top of the 3rd here for the Wolves. And here's a pitch. And I guess a little bit low. Ball 2. Of course, the 7-inning, 9-inning thing went totally out the window for the Bears yesterday, as they ended up playing 21 innings over 2 games and unfortunately lost both extra inning affairs yesterday. Trying to repay the favor here on Sunday in currently a tie ball game 1-1 as a Yellow Jacket lands on my scorebook. That was not so exciting. Lanham comes set 2-2 the count. Aiden Bauer on first for Newberry, and that pitch is low and the count goes full. Lanham seems a little frustrated with himself, like he threw his arm out, like maybe he didn't feel like he followed through as well as he wanted. He gets set now with a full count and a runner on first. Here's the pitch. Runner goes, and that's ball 4. So Lanham really cruising along through 2 2/3. Now has given up a solo home run, a single, and a walk to the next 3 batters. And the Bears pitching coach will head out. Sometimes a whole infield will come in for this conference, but it's just coach, pitcher, and catcher. So I think this is just more of a, kind of get settled in and make sure you're following through like you want to and concentrating on what pitch you want to make. Score's tied at 1, so get this batter and there's no more damage. But I'm sure you don't want to give Newberry an opportunity to take a lead here. So Nick Butler steps in for Newberry. He struck out in the 2nd and stands in here in the 3rd with a RBI opportunity. Aiden Bauer on 2nd, Colin Allman on 1st via walk. And here's the pitch, and it's a ground ball in between the gap between short and 3rd, and Newberry's going to get a run here. And there's a couple of mistakes there maybe by the Bears, as no one was covering 3rd base. Ball kind of got through, like Ferlinda and Clarno weren't quite on the same page with that one. And the ball got to left field, and a run scored. So single by Butler drives in a run. And the Bears, the Indians now, the Wolves now have runners on 1st and 3rd, still with 2 outs, but now have taken a 2-1 lead here. Ian Clements steps in. He reached on an error by Nick Clarno back in the 2nd. Stole a base, but was stranded there. And that was one of 2 Joe corrections after insinuating that catchers maybe weren't the best runners. And there's a close play there at first. So Lanham's gone to first twice, and both of them have been close. Butler, however, has been able to get back to the bag, and Lanham has not yet come to the plate to Ian Clements. 1st and 3rd. That runner on 1st is important, and Lanham does want to keep him thinking Because if you get that runner to second, then all of a sudden a single might be 2 runs instead of 1, and he's going, and they're going to hold on the throw. May have had a chance, but a little bit of a gamble to make because you know the runner would then break from third. So Butler steals second. I don't know if they'll call that a steal or catcher indifference, but either way, the Wolves now have runners on second and third. Still 2 outs, but 2 runs in for Newberry as they've taken a 2-1 lead here in the 3rd inning. Here's a pitch from Lanham, and that's low, ball 1, and the count goes to 1-1. Josh needs to tighten up a little bit here. The only person he really needs to worry about right now is Ian Clements at the plate. If he can get him, then all's well. 1-1 to count. Here's a pitch from Lanham, and that's a little bit low ball too. So, LR freshman and recent South Atlantic Conference pitcher of the week, and a little bit of a bind here in the 3rd, facing Ian Clements. Here's the pitch, and Clements held up, and that's ball 3. So, first 2 outs of this inning, pretty quick. Then home run, single, walk, single. And Newberry has 2 runs across. And Lanham in danger of losing Ian Clements here. Here's the pitch. And there's a swing and a miss. Nice job by Josh on that pitch. So the count now has run full. And I think Josh needs his best pitch here. Get the Bears back in the dugout. Count's full, 2 outs, 2 on for Newberry. The Wolves are up 2-1 here in the top of the 3rd. And here's a pitch from Lanham. And there's a ground ball to third. Clarino fields it cleanly and takes his time, throws to first. And wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Was that a catcher interference? It didn't look like Clements was hustling down the line, and I thought maybe he just knew it was going to be a throw out, but all of a sudden now I'm guessing that maybe that was a catcher interference that has put Clements on first. I'll have to try to confirm that with the press box. But nonetheless, now all of a sudden his base is loaded, and Lanham facing Zach Terrence. And there's a strike. Terrence was hit by a pitch back in the 2nd, was stranded at first, but has an opportunity, unfortunately, to do some big damage for Newberry here with the bases loaded. Lanham gets set, and here's the pitch. And there's strike 2. So Lanham quickly ahead, 0-2 here. And a tough break. Got a ground ball fielded cleanly and nice throw, but I guess I'm going to assume until otherwise told that possibly that was catcher interference, that the umpire awarded Ian Clements first base. Here's a pitch from Lanham. He's up in the count 0-2, and he comes to the plate. And there's strike 3. So nice job to get out of that predicament, but not before Newberry scores a couple of runs and takes a lead here in the 3rd inning. So as we head to the bottom half, it's Newberry 2, Lenoir-Rhyne 1. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. We'll be right back.
Celebrate great with Carolina West Wireless. Great new phones and a great customer experience, all on our great nationwide high-speed network. Stop by today and get big savings on select Samsung smartphones, like $350 off the Samsung Galaxy S20 and S20 Plus, and $350 off the Note 20 and Note 20 Ultra. The great savings continue with 4 lines of unlimited data for just $35 a month per line. Celebrate great savings and go stay connected wherever your travels take you.
In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make it
back everyone to Durham Field here on the campus of Lenoir-Rhyne University. Nice day for baseball, as the Bears are hosting Newberry, the Newberry Wolves. I warned everyone for the game that after probably 30 years of calling the Wolves the Indians, I might possibly slip up, and I have, which I apologize for. But the Wolves now have a 2-1 lead over the Bears here as we go to the bottom of the third. Matt Mackey at the plate. He flew out to center back into first. So he'll be looking to get a Bear rally going and try to get us back in it. High fly. Looks like the second baseman may have a play, and he does. So that will be out one. Bears got a run back in the second on an E6. Newberry was able to come back in the top half, the next half, top of the third, and get a couple to take a lead here. Nick Clarno steps in. He grounded out to second back in the first inning, and that pitch is high, ball one. Matt Campbell on the mound for Newberry, and he evens the count 1-1 as Clarno takes a strike. I was doing softball. I had to get used to saying in the circle instead of on the mound. Now I've been doing so much softball, I've got to get used to saying on the mound instead of in the circle. But Matt Campbell's on the mound, and here's a pitch to Clarno, and that's a strike. Count goes to 1-2. Bears trail 2-1 here. There's one out in the bottom of the third. Clarno hitting in the 4-hole. He does have some power, but he sort of waved at that pitch and goes down swinging. Looks like maybe that was not exactly what he wanted and may have chased a ball there. Nonetheless, quickly 2 outs for Matthew Campbell here, and Newberry as Drew Galassi steps in. Galassi singled back in the first, was thrown out on a force play at the plate. That was in the second inning. Bears ended up scoring a run to tie up the game, but now all of a sudden take a 1-run lead, and now all of a sudden trail 2-1. Strike to Galassi, so there's another strike swinging, and the count goes to 0-2. So the Bears maybe not being quite as patient as they want to be at the plate. Make Matthew Campbell work a little bit. He's gotten 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the third, and is in danger of getting the third one here. And there's a swing and a miss by Galassi. He thought he might have tipped the ball, but the umpire says no. Catcher dropped the ball right there at the plate, but tagged Galassi out. And the Bears go down pretty quickly here in the bottom of the third. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. And we'll head to the top of the fourth with Newberry leading Lenoir-Rhyne 2-1. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. We'll be right back.
Cordell Harris Insurance Agency, a family-owned and operated business serving the Hickory area since 1981, where we strive to take care of you and your den like family. As an independent insurance agency, we offer a vast spectrum of coverage for your commercial and personal insurance needs with our extensive network of providers. Cordell Harris Insurance Agency is a proud sponsor of Lenoir-Rhyne Athletics. Protect your den with Cordell Harris. Go Bears!
Hickory's hometown jeweler celebrates our hometown teams, college sweethearts. These couples met and fell in love in Hickory and have been together ever since. For the past 38 years, we've helped our clients celebrate a lot of milestones, and stories like these are some of our favorites. Bring your love back to where it all began. Show your college sweetheart the past as you look together to the future, and let us help you start your future here at Oz's Jewelers.
We'll head to the top of the fourth here at Durham Field. Lenoir-Rhyne Bears hosting the Newberry Wolves here, South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. Newberry up now 2-1 as we head to the top half of the fourth. Josh Lanham on the hill for Lenoir-Rhyne. Really no real trouble through 2 2/3, but things got a little bit away from him with 2 outs in the third as Newberry was able to get a couple of runs across and could have done more damage as they had the bases loaded with 2 outs, and Lanham came back to strike out Zane Terrence and end the inning. Lanham now with 6 strikeouts through 3, and he will face Dalton Lansdowne, the Newberry second baseman. The first pitch strike for Lanham. Lansdowne struck out back in the second. See if Josh can handle him here in the fourth. Looked good, but I guess it was inside. I'm not at a great angle to tell, to judge inside or outside of the plate. I can tell if it's in their eyes or at their knees, though. Here's a pitch. And there's a shot that gets just past Clarino at third, and that's going to roll into left. Could be in danger of a double, but McHugh feels it cleanly and gets the ball back in. So Dalton Lansdowne reaches on a single just off the glove of Nick Clarino, third baseman of the Bears. So after being ahead in the count, Josh, there's a single and leadoff runner in the fourth is on for the Wolves. We'll go back to the top of the order, and Zachary Bales at the plate for Newberry. Atlanta makes nice throws to first. There have been quite a few that are low enough for would be a easy tag out if a Newberry runner didn't get back, but it is also something else for him to think about other than the batter in the box. Atlanta pitches out of the stretch all the time, so it's not just with a runner on. So that's kind of his natural motion towards the plate. 0-1 to count, and he'll go to first again. Lansdowne slides back. 2-1 here. Newberry with leadoff runner on. In the top of the fourth, Zach Bales at the plate. Bales flew out to center in the first, struck out to lead off the third, and is down 0-1 in the count here. Squares the bunt and fouls that off, so quickly the count 0-2. Things slow down a bit when there's runners on. So a few extra things going through the pitcher's mind. And he will come to the plate. No, go to first. Another good throw by Lanham. Lansdowne was able to get back. So 0-2 the count with Bales at the plate. Lanham looks in. He's taking his time. And comes set. Looks like Lansdowne's going to try to bunt again. He's already squared. And here's a pitch. And that's bunt foul. And that will be an out. So, That'll be the first out of the inning. As Bales goes down after a couple of failed bunt attempts, Luke Orr will step in. Orr singled into first, was stranded on first after that. Grounded out to second and the third for the second out of the third at the time before Newberry had a little rally. Scored a couple. Orr stands in and go back to first, Lanham does. One out here. Austin lands down on first for Newberry. Lanham is really trying to keep him close. Don't want to give Newberry too many opportunities. And he goes back to first again. One out here, top of the fourth. That pitch is outside. Count goes to 2-0. Lanham gets set. Looks back at second. And steps off. I'm not sure if Lanham stepped off the rubber first or if and he grounds one past the shortstop and a throw into Clarno. And suddenly, Newberry with runners on first and third and one out. So second hit of the day for Luke Orr. Both singles. And Lanham finds himself in a little bit of trouble here in the top of the fourth. Newberry leads 2-1. They took two from the Bears yesterday. So the home team needs to tighten up a little bit. See if Lanham can get through this without any damage. Jack Harris steps in. He got things started for Newberry with a long home run to left back in the, and there's a throw, comes down to second, but Linda steps in front of the bag. Lansdowne did not attempt to head home. Imagine with one out, Newberry feels like they've got a chance at another big inning and didn't want to take a chance at home plate with only one away. So Newberry now with runners on second and third for Jack Harris, who, as I mentioned, hit a ball to deep left and out back in the third to get Newberry on the board. They scored another one in that inning to take a 2-1 lead, which is where we are now, although the Wolves are threatening with one out. 1-1 the count to Harris. Josh Lanham trying to pitch out of trouble here again in the fourth. Here's the pitch, and there's another shot to right. Will Jones is on the run, and that's going to be back up against the fence. So Harris went the other way. 2 runs are going to score, and Harris stands up at second with his second and third RBIs of the day. And suddenly, Newberry has a 4-1 lead. So Harris has certainly done his part for the Wolves here today. Couple of hits, 3 RBIs, and Newberry now with a 4-1 lead. Aiden Bauer will step in. He flew out to center in the first, singled and scored back in the third. Jack Harris on second, and there's a single off Lanham to right. Jones makes the play and comes to the plate. He's going to be safe, is Harris at the plate. The ball got away from Stober a little bit, and Bauer will stand up at second after a single and advancing on the throw. So suddenly, what was a tight ball game has gotten away from the Bears pretty quickly. 2 runs in the third. three now in the fourth, and there's still only one out with Colin Allman at the plate. And that pitch is low. Allman struck out in the second, reached on a walk in the third, and was stranded at third. And he has an opportunity with a runner on second to unfortunately do some more damage here. And there's another single just past the third baseman. They're going to hold Bauer at third, and that will put runners on the corners here for Newberry. Fifth hit of the inning now. Off of Lanham, and head coach, I believe that's Coach Ramirez. If not, it's a pitching coach. Will come out to talk to Josh as things are getting away a little bit from the young right-hander from Augusta. Game 2 to follow. This scheduled to be a 7-inning game unless this game were to go into extra innings. At this point, and things settle back down. Everyone gets back to their spots, and Lanham facing now Nick Butler. He struck out and had an RBI single back in the third. Has runners in scoring position here again in the fourth. And he squares the bunt and then takes a strike. Aiden Bauer on third. Colin Allman on first for Newberry. 5 hits in the inning. 3 runs have come across so far. Let's hope it stays there. Lanham, pretty deliberate here. Newberry's shown that they'll take off for second in these situations. And Lanham, and the runner goes, and there's a throw by Stober, and he's going to be safe at second. Oh my goodness, the ball beat him there, and Fernando fielded it cleanly. Wow. Boy, that's unfortunate for the Bears. I wondered if maybe they had Allman there. But the umpire says no. And what was first and third with one out is now second and third with one out. And an 0-2 count on Nick Butler. It's really a big batter here for Lanham. Already given up 3 runs. Really, there's the ball outside. Really need to get a batter here. With 2 outs, you have a lot better chance to just end the inning. But, fly ball here could score a run or whatever. L.R. infield, all of a sudden, stepping in. Newberry third base coach jumps over to say something to Bauer, and here's the pitch. And there's a fly ball to center. Galassi's is on his horse, and he makes the catch deep. It's going to easily get the run home. And Allman goes to third on the sac fly. And RBI by Nick Butler. So Lanham got that second out, but not without another run scoring on a deep fly ball to center. Nice play by Galassi out in center. He was on his horse running with his back to the infield and made a nice catch. But as mentioned, the ball was well deep enough to score the run. And Ian Clements grounds to short, and the Bears will get the out there with no further damage. But Newberry pushes 4 runs across here in the fourth to take a 6-2 lead with the Bears coming to bat. So we'll head to the bottom half of the fourth here at Lenoir-Rhyne. Newberry 6, Lenoir-Rhyne 1. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. We'll be right back. And there's a ground ball to third, fielded cleanly, and a throw to first is there, and that will be out 1 for Lenoir-Rhyne. Aiden Bauer, clean play and throw there for the Wolves. That will bring Bryce Stober to the plate for Lenoir-Rhyne. Stober singled back in the second. As I mentioned, when Xander was at the plate, made a nice throw to second, and really thought we had a caught stealing there, but was ruled otherwise. And Stober takes ball 1. Stober, a freshman from a couple blocks from here, Hickory High School. Ends in, and there's a ground ball to second, which is fielded, and quickly 2 outs for the Bears, with Mike McHugh coming to the plate. McHugh, a redshirt junior from Winston-Salem via Presbyterian College, former South Atlantic Conference member, and just a rock throw from Newberry. McHugh squares and takes strike 1. Much like Lenoir-Rhyne and Catawba way back in the day would play a football game against each other on Thanksgiving Day. For many, many years, Newberry and Presbyterian played football on Thanksgiving Day until playoff schedules changed and it wasn't really feasible or possible to play a regular season game that late in November. Quickly, 0-2 count on McHugh. Matthew Campbell, still on the mound for Newberry. And there's strike 3. So for the second straight inning, Campbell shuts the Bears down in order, and we'll head to the top of the 5th. Lenoir-Rhyne trailing 6-1. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
Our decision as a conference last Thursday to cancel the spring season was not made lightly.
And welcome back to Durham Field here on the campus of Lenoir-Rhyne University. We have a pitching change for the Bears as Michael Allen steps in, sophomore from Manteo, North Carolina. That's a little more than a rock's throw away. But Allen will step in relief of Josh Lanham, and Newberry leading here 6-1. We're back to the top of the order. No, excuse me, Zane Terrence. Looked at my scorebook and got mixed up there. Zane Terrence in for Newberry, and he quickly grounds out to Wade Kuda. And there's one away as Allen sets down the first batter he faces here in game one of our doubleheader. Josh Lanham pitched very well through 2 2/3, got in some trouble in the third, gave up 2 runs, but got out of a bases-loaded jam after that. Then things really kind of fell apart on him there in the fourth. He gave up 4 runs and gives Newberry a little cushion here in the top of the fifth. Dalton Lansdowne, the second baseman for Newberry, steps in. Struck out in the second. Lanham struck him out in the second, but had a single, stolen base, and scored a run in that 4-run fourth for the Wolves. Lansdowne squares the bunt, and that's a called strike as Michael Allen gets the count to 1-1, facing the Wolves' second baseman. Allen comes set, and here's the pitch. And there's a ground ball just over the glove of Nick Clarno, and that's the second time that's happened today. As another nice little hop for Newberry. Gets a runner on first. Lansdowne's second hit of the day. A couple of long fly balls that were caught, and then, of course, a home run from Jack Harris. But a number of the Newberry hits have just been, slow grounders between third and short, or up the middle between short and second. But a hit's a hit, and a run's a run, and the Bears find themselves down here 6-1. Allen goes to first. Lansdowne did steal second back in the fourth. So he is a threat. And Newberry has sent runners all day. Allen comes set. Here's the pitch. And that is ball one. A lot of emotion right now from the Bears. I can understand why. 2, I'm sure, heartbreaking extra inning losses yesterday, and with the conference format, was supposed to be a 16-inning day turned into a 21-inning day, and with the Bears unfortunately on the losing end of both those games and find themselves behind here now. And Lansdowne goes, and he is out. Nice throw there by Bryce Stober. And the Bears thought they had one last inning. The umpire disagreed, but the umpire ruled in their favor, and I believe correctly on that one. And Zach Bales now in with a 1-1 count and 2 away, nobody on. It'd be nice for Allen to get a 1-2-3 here. And there's a strike. I guess not a traditional 1-2-3, but face only 3 batters. And is heading to count now 1-2. Get Lenoir-Rhyne back in the dugout and try to put some pressure on Matthew Campbell, who after a rough start for Newberry has pitched very well since. Allen gets a sign, comes set. Bryce Stober behind the plate. And here's the pitch to Bales. And he fouls the ball off to the right. And that bounces up the hill. Looks like it went through the fence. Might be rolling down the street right now. 1-2 the count still. 2 outs. Be nice to get a clean inning here, fairly clean inning here for the Bears, and see if we can get some juice back at the plate. And a swing and a miss. So nice job for Michael Allen as he comes in and shuts Newberry down here in the top of the 5th. So the Bears return to the dugout and will try to close this 6-1 Newberry lead in the bottom half of the 5th. So as we head to the bottom of the half, you're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. We'll be right back. And welcome back here, everyone. Beautiful day at Durham Field. Weather-wise, not so much as far as the scoreboard goes as the Bears trail here 6-1 as we head to the bottom of the 5th with Wade Kuda leading all 4 Lenoir-Rhyne. I mentioned as we headed to break, or last inning, that Matthew Campbell, the Newberry starter, a little bit of trouble in the second inning, gave up a run on 3 hits and left the bases loaded, but since has retired now 7 in a row. Lenoir-Rhyne batters. Kuda steps in to try to break that string. He had a high foul pop to first base back in the second. Bases were loaded at the time, but the ball was not caught in a place where the runner could advance really from third. So Bears with bases loaded and no outs were only able to push 1 run across back in the second, and that may come back to haunt them here in game 1. 2-0 the count to Kuda, and that ball is just a little bit high. Not trying to give you a Bob Uecker, but Major League, one of my favorite movies. As Kuda now, with a 3-0 count, faces Matthew Campbell. And there's a strike from Campbell. Count goes to 3-1. Second game to follow. Bears have some work to do here in game 1. Campbell comes to the plate, and that's ball 4. If I remember correctly, back in the second, what Kuda thought was ball 4 came in, and he reached down to take his shin guard off, and the umpire called a strike. Kuda was rather surprised, then popped out to first, but this time does draw the walk. And so the Bears had a leadoff runner on, and we're back to the top of the order. E.J. Runnell at the plate for Lenoir-Rhyne. Matthew Campbell seems to have settled in a bit after a rough second, although he did walk the leadoff runner here, and that pitch is high. So maybe not as settled in as we thought, as he's having a little bit of a control problem here in the 5th. 6 pitches, and 5 of those were balls until that. Strike to Runnell. Count now 1-1. Runnell flew out to right on the first pitch of the bottom half of the first, then reached on an error in the second and hits a little shot to the shortstop that's going to be caught just a little, almost like a little nubber off the bat, and a little lazy fly to short. And Kuda has to scramble back. Didn't sound right coming off the bat, so if it hit funny or hit the end or what, but didn't sound clean and flush. So Rennell might be sure a little bit frustrated at that end result as Will Jones steps in for the Bears. He had a double back in the second, but was stranded and then flew out to center to end, or excuse me, a double in the first and flew out to center to end the second. So he's facing Campbell now for the third time. 1 out. Wade Kuda on first for the Bears as the home team trails 6-1. And Jones takes ball too. Will's played a lot of baseball for Lenoir-Rhyne, that's for sure. Redshirt junior out of Clayton, North Carolina. And takes a strike. Looked like it might have been a little bit low, but Jones didn't seem phased, so he must have felt like he had taken one there. Really good heads-up base running back in the first. Got him to second base on a hustle double, we'll call it. And he grounds here to short. They'll go to second for the force play and cannot get Jones at first. So Kuda is forced out at second for the second out of the inning. Jones reaches on the fielder's choice. And that will bring Matt Mackey to the plate. Mackey flew out to center back in the first, and a high pop fly to second base to lead off the third. Now comes the plate with Will Jones standing at first, and the Bears needing some runs. Mackey asks for time, steps out a little bit. Campbell comes set for the Wolves, and there's the pitch. And that's low, ball one. Sun pretty high in the sky currently, and more blue continues to appear above us as Campbell goes to first. Try to keep Will Jones honest over there. I don't know that they would send Jones down 6-1. However, there are 2 outs. So we'll see what happens here. And that ball way outside. Ball 2. So, as we mentioned earlier and have kind of noticed here in the 5th, Campbell's control not what it has been to this point. But he leads 6-1 with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th, excuse me. 3-0 the count to Mackey. Nick Clarno in the on-deck circle for the Bears. And here's the pitch, and that's going to be high and outside, and the catcher, Ian Clements, is going to take a stroll out to the mound and talk to Matthew Campbell. So second walk of the inning for the Newberry starter. And that will bring, as I mentioned, Nick Clarno to the plate. Grounded out to second in the first, struck out in the third, but has an opportunity to get a run across here for the Bears as Will Jones stands at second base. Got 2 outs. And Clarno is ready. And Matthew Campbell comes set. Newberry has a couple of people scurrying down to the bullpen. And Clarno fouls that one back, and it will go into the street, bounce into the Eisenhower parking lot, and it might have come back across. The street's fairly close here to the backstop at Lenoir-Rhyne if you've not been here, and there is an occasional ball that hits a car over the years. And Clarno takes a ball. Count goes to 1-1. Patience needed here, because I think even if it's only a single run, Bears need to get a spark back here. Try to turn this thing around. 1-1 to count. Matthew Campbell comes set to Clarno, and there's another foul back. Count goes to 1-2. And Newberry does, in fact, look like they're having some activity in the bullpen. Although Campbell could get out of this on this batter. Nick Clarno of the Bears trying to stop that. And there's a ground ball. It's going to get up the middle. Will Jones is going to turn and score. And Mackey holds up at second. So nice job by Nick Clarno to get an RBI single there. And much like some of the hits that have gone for Newberry, just kind of dribbled up the middle between two infielders. But it gets Will Jones across the plate. And the Bears now trail 6-2. Newberry coach coming out, Campbell, is really, this has been the first trouble he's been in since way back in the second. But it has unraveled a little bit for him. Control-wise, he's walked a couple. And the single by Clarno pushes Will Jones across for the Bears' second run of the game. Doesn't look like they're quite ready to make a move on the mound, and really Newberry pitcher in the bullpen has just started throwing with some intent off the mound. Catcher hadn't even squatted behind the plate. There he goes. So not ready really to bring someone else in, although there's a pitcher warming up, and Campbell, honestly, I think the Newberry head coach probably feels like he deserves a chance to try to get out of this. He's pitched pretty well so far. Drew Galassi comes to the plate for Lenoir-Rhyne, singled, but was forced out at home on a bases-loaded ground ball. Galassi struck out in the third to end the third. So he steps in facing Matthew Campbell for the third time as Campbell tries to get sorted out a little bit. He struggled some with control here in the fifth, but throws a strike there. Oh, 1 to count. Campbell comes set. Drew Galassi at the plate has a chance to get another run across for the Bears. And he gets hit on the elbow. So, another sign that of some control problems for Matthew Campbell this inning is he hits Galassi on the elbow to load the bases for Lenoir-Rhyne. And Xander Ferlinda coming to the plate. Xander singled in the second, came around to score the Bears' first run. At that point, grounded out to third back in the fourth. And now comes with bases loaded, and I guess Newberry is going to make a move here on the mound. That's the second trip to see Campbell. So, Matthew Campbell will leave. Pitched pretty well, really, until this inning, where his control kind of let him down. And the Newberry pitcher comes sprinting in from the bullpen. Looks like that is number 28. Let's see if I can confirm that on their roster. Yeah, I think that's 28. Devin Makovsky from Coral Springs, Florida. So we'll pencil his name in here. So Makovsky in relief of Matthew Campbell. Campbell pitched 4 2/3, only gave up 2 runs, 6 hits. Struck out 3. But as I mentioned, control kind of let him down here in the bottom of the fifth, as he has walked 3, including one of those being a hit batter, and also given up an RBI single to Nick Clarno. So Newberry changes pitchers. And the new pitcher for Let's see, new pitcher for the Indians will face Xander Ferlinda. So bases loaded for the Bears. Matt Mackey at third, Nick Clerno at second, and Drew Galassi at first as Devin Makovsky will face Xander Ferlinda. Ferlinda starting at shortstop today and has recently played a lot of second base early in the year. But stands in here with the bases loaded and 2 outs, and Bears could use a hit at this point and try to draw a little closer as Newberry leads 6-2. And that first pitch is low from Makovsky. Two outs here in the bottom of the fifth, but the Bears are threatening as Makovsky gets set and comes to the plate to Ferlinda. And that one is a strike. Bear dugout not very pleased with that call. From my vantage point, it looked like it could have been a little bit high, but I'm not in the best spot to make that determination. And Makovsky comes set, 1-1 to count. Bases full of Bears, 2 outs here in the bottom of the fifth. And there's a pitch, a ground ball. It's going to be fielded by the shortstop. He throws on the run and gets Ferlinda. So 1 run is all the Bears will be able to muster here. So ground out to the shortstop ends the Lenoir-Rhyne threat, but they do push 1 run across on the single. RBI single by Nick Clerno, scoring Will Jones. We'll head to the top of the 6th with Newberry leading 6-2. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. Top of the 6th here at Durham Field on the campus of Lenoir-Rhyne University. Michael Allen remains in the game to pitch for the Bears. Faced 1 batter in the top of the 5th. Struck out Zach Bales, so he'll start this inning clean. And a first pitch strike from Allen. Luke Orr at the plate for the Wolves. Orr with a couple of hits today. Stole a base, scored a run back in the 4th. And squares the bunt here, and the ball goes to the backstop. So that'll put the count at 1-1. Michael Allen, the sophomore from Manteo, out near the Outer Banks. And he gets set here to face Luke Orr. 1-1 to count. Here's the pitch. And that was fouled back. Count goes to 1-2. Allen in relief of Josh Lanham, who for 2 2/3 pitched very, very well. Gotten a little bit of a pickle in the third with 2 outs, solo home run, and then had the bases loaded, gave up another run. But in the fourth really came unraveled. And Newberry was able to push 4 runs across, and that's kind of what their day has been offensively. And there's a swing and a miss by Orr, so nice job by Michael Allen. He's faced 2 batters and struck both of them out. So 1 away here in the top of the 6th, and Jack Harris steps in. He has done his share of damage to the Bears here today. After striking out in the first, had a solo home run in the third and a 2-run double in the fourth. And so he has been a thorn for the Bears. We'll see how Michael Allen fares against him with 1 out here in the top of the 6th. There's a pitch. And that was interesting. I think, well, you don't see that a lot. I think Harris really was kind of moving to take that as a ball, but the ball hit his bat. He never took it off his, it looked like he already took it off his shoulder. So instead of being a 1-0, that's an 0-1 and a little bit of a break for Michael Allen. So Harris now down to count instead of up. And here's the pitch from Allen. And a little bit low, I guess, and that is ball 1. 1-1 now. Excuse me, I hit my headset. 1-1 to count. Wind has died down a little bit here. It's been chirping up here and there. And there's a ground ball to Ferlinda. It's going to be a long throw. Can he make it? Yes. Nice play by Xander Ferlinda. He was out in the, I don't want to say out in the grass. It's not grass anymore. He was out in the shallow outfield, I guess, is how you would say it now. And made a nice long throw to get Jack Harris for the second out. Good play by Xander Ferlinda. Hayden Bauer steps in, flew out to center, back into first. Then a pair of singles and a pair of runs. Those coming in the third and the fourth. He'll face Allen for the first time. And here's the pitch. And that's a little high and outside. Ball 1. So Allen, to this point at least, has done his job and kind of quieted the Newberry bats. Let's see how he fares here against the Wolves' third baseman. And here's the pitch. And there's a line shot to center. Is Galassi going to be able to get there? Tries to make a diving catch, and he gets past him. It's going to get almost to the fence. Bauer is going to round second. He's going to go to third. Are they going to send him? They're going to hold him at third. So nice effort by Galassi. I wonder if he had to rethink that, if he might have just played it on a hop. Tried to make a spectacular play and came close there in center, but ball got by him and allowed Bauer to reach third. I'll let the official score handle that. I'm a little bit old school. Part of me would have said single in error, but it's likely that would go in the books as a triple, and I would understand that as well. So a 2-away runner on third, and Michael Allen facing his first run challenge here. And throws a strike to the Newberry shortstop, Colin Allman. Allman played pretty well in the field. Did have an error back in the second on a throw. He's in a hole 0-1 facing Michael Allen with Aiden Bauer on third for Newberry. Newberry leads 6-2. Need to really keep any more runs for scoring. Give the Bears a chance to come back a little bit. And 1-1 now the count. Tough break for Allen. Classy wasn't able to keep the ball in front of him. That could have been a loud single. It turned into extra bases. Allen comes set. Here's a pitch. Squares to bunt with 2 outs and a runner on third. A little daring there as Bauer had crept down the line. But the count goes to 1-2. Colin Allman facing Michael Allen for the Bears. Aiden Bauer on third for Newberry. 2 away here in the top of the 6th. And here's a pitch. And that was in the dirt. Nice stop by Bryce Stober. If that had gotten by him from where Bauer was on the third baseline, that might easily have been another run. So nice job by Bryce Stober there. Stober looks in to get the pitch. And now relays that to Allen. Allen comes set. And here's a pitch. And there's a ground ball to third. Nice play by Clarino. Let's see if he can get the ball across. And he can for out number 3. So a little bit of a scare for Michael Allen there with a runner on third and 2 outs, but able to get out of that little pickle on a nice play, field and throw by Nick Clarino. And we will head to the bottom of the 6th. Newberry leads here 6-2. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. Bryce Stober will lead off the bottom of the 6th here for Lenoir-Rhyne. The Bears trail 6-2 to Newberry. Devin Makovsky on the mound for the Wolves will face his second hitter of the game. He came in relief of Matthew Campbell in the bottom of the 5th, and bases loaded for the Bears. Got Xander Ferlinda to ground out to short, and will face Stober here, the Bear catcher, to lead off the bottom half of the 6th. And Stober takes a ball there. Price singled back in the 2nd and was stranded on 3rd. And an inning that may come back to haunt Lenoir-Rhyne. Bases loaded, no outs. They were only able to push 1 run across. And there's a strike to Stober. His other bat grounded out to 2nd. That was in the 4th. So 2 at-bats so far, but we'll face Devin Makovsky for the first time. And here's the pitch. That's going to be strike 2 to Bryce Stober. So I always wonder if it's a little bit different for a catcher at the plate. They know how obviously the game's being called because they're right there when their team's in the field. So you critique a little bit how the umpire's calling when your team's at the plate, and there's a pop up to the pitcher and nice catch. You know, if there's a little bit of confusion at first, of course, the pitcher has to come off the mound to make that play. That Stober, a little frustrated himself, kind of got under that one. And there's 1 away here in the bottom of the 6th. Mike McHugh at the plate for Lenoir-Rhyne. Reached on a fielder's choice back in the second, was stranded at second, then struck out to end the fourth. So McHugh will try to get something going here for the Bears with one out in the bottom of the sixth. This is scheduled to be a 7-inning game, so Bears running out of chances here if they want to try to break into the win column against Newberry this weekend. Devin McCoskey comes with the pitch, a little bit inside. Well, evidently not. Strike one. McHugh sort of turned away from the ball like he might have felt like it was inside. The blue shirt behind the plate felt otherwise. And there's a ground ball foul just past third base. And head coach Chris Ramirez will grab it, throw it back in somewhere to the Bears dugout. And quickly, McHugh down in the count 0-2 with one out here in the bottom of the sixth. Bears trail 6-2. Need to get something going here pretty quick. There's a pitch, and nice shot by McHugh down the left field line. Is that going to stay fair? And it does, and it's going to pounce off the fence. McHugh's going to have an easy double, and there's something maybe getting started for Lenoir-Rhyne as a double by Mike McHugh off the left field fence. Has him in scoring position, and Wayne Kuda coming to the plate. McHugh taking off gloves or wrist pads or something, as he will now be on the bases, running with Kuda at the plate. Wade popped out to first base back in the second. Walked in the fifth, but was forced out on a ground ball by Will Jones. And he will face Devin McCoskey for the first time and take strike one. A little bit of life here for the Bears in the bottom of the sixth. As I mentioned, this is a 7-inning game, so time's running short for Lenoir-Rhyne if they want to get back in this one. Mike McHugh on second. Counts 0-1 to Wade Kuda as he faces Devin McCoskey. Kuda gets set, as does McCoskey. And here's the pitch. And that one appeared to be over Kuda's head. At least it was when he leaned down. So that pitch high, and the count is now 1-1. McCoskey now has to worry about the runner on second. Although, honestly, with a 4-run lead in the bottom of the sixth, that run doesn't necessarily kill you. But you would like to get out of here without giving the Bears a spark if you are Newberry. And he goes back to second. Hunt throws the ball into center field. McHugh is going to have to stay. When he dove back, he wasn't really able to see what happened. Ball got past the second baseman and went into center, but Mike unable to advance. So maybe a little bit of an opportunity lost there, but I think McHugh made the smart play at the direction of Coach Ramirez and remains at second. So Makowski having to be a little more deliberate in his approach now, and was lucky to recover from that throwing mistake as Kuda fouls off a pitch and the count goes to 1-2. One out double by Mike McHugh has put him on second. Wade Kuda trying to push across another run for the Bears was down the count here 1-2. Game 2 to follow. We've got a lot of baseball still left to play. Kowski comes set. And he turns to the bag, and no one's there. McHugh hustles back. Anyway. Now gives some signals. Maybe worth something. Maybe phantom. Nonetheless, he will await Kuda's at-bat here. 1-2 the count. And Kuda fouls another one off. Up into the parking area. And fielded by a fan who may have just been protecting their vehicle up there. foul balls on the first base side. Cars come into play here at Lenoir-Rhyne. Here's a pitch to Kuda, and he pops another one up, and honestly, I can't see it, but it's back here somewhere. And run drops over in Ms. Mauser's yard. So that's the second foul ball to find its way over to our neighbor on the third base side. Her family, husband Bob Mauser, played football here at Lenoir-Rhyne and actually, I believe, donated the land for this field way back, I think probably in the 70s. Here's a pitch, and there's a fly ball by Kuda. It's in right field. Maybe a little struggle with the sun, but it's going to be caught, and McHugh's going to have to stay where he is. Nice throw in there by Jack Harris. Done quite a bit of damage to the plate for Newberry today and makes a nice play and throw to keep McHugh on second here. Now with 2 outs. So Kuda flies out to right, and it'll be up to E.J. Rennell to try to get McHugh home or at least to third base. Rennell's flown out to center on the first pitch of the bottom half of the first. Reached on an error in the second, then lined out to the shortstop back in the fifth. Here's a pitch, and he fouls that one back. Bears in danger here, losing their third in a row to Newberry. And with seedings in the conference tournament at this point still being figured out, Bears currently in 6th. Loss does not work in their favor. I believe the top 8 schools go to the tournament. That's a foul ball off to the left. And that will be another in Ms. Mauser's yard. So, a couple of balls out of the field of play off here behind me on the third base side. And Rennell now in the hole, 0-2. Devin McCoskey pitching in relief of Matthew Campbell and has done well so far, although a leadoff double, or excuse me, a one-out double by Mike McHugh gives him something to think about, and there's a drive by Rennell. Is it going to be trouble? It's going to fall, and McHugh's going to easily score with 2 outs. Rennell's going to hold up at first, and nice job by E.J. Rennell. RBI single here gets Mike McHugh home, and the Bears pull a little bit closer now at 6-3. So 2-out RBI single by E.J. Rennell will bring up Will Jones. Jones doubled in the first, but was stranded. Flew out to center back in the second, then reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the fifth on a single by Nick Clairnose. So Jones steps in. Chance to keep this little rally going for Lenoir-Rhyne, but there are 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. And Jones takes ball 1. Will steps in, and Makovsky comes set. Here's the pitch. Jones holds up, good eye, and that's ball 2. 2-0 the count now. E.J. Rennell at first, RBI single. Pushed home Mike McHugh. And the Bears get a little bit closer, see what Jones can do to keep this thing going. And there's a nice shot just foul past the third baseman. If that would have been a couple inches to the right, I think we would have been talking double. And possibly Rennell scoring from first. It was foul, however, and the count goes to 2-1 against the Bears' right fielder. E.J. Rennell at first, senior from Toccoa, Georgia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Here's the pitch to Jones, and that is inside. He scooted out of the way there. And the count goes to 3-1. So after recording retiring the first two batters he faced. Makovsky's in a little bit of a spot here. And that's ball 4. So Will Jones walks as E.J. Rennell will trot to second. And much like the fate of Matthew Campbell for Newberry, all of a sudden Makovsky's struggling to find his control a little bit. Matt Mackey steps in. Bears have runners on first and second. There's 2 outs. Rennell at second, Will Jones at first. Mackey walked his last time up and was stranded on third base as the Bears got the bases loaded for the second time in the game, and were only able to push across 1 run, and a big swing and a miss by Mackey, and it's 0-1. It's late here, bottom of the 6th. Scheduled game to be 7 innings. But the Bears hanging in there and trying to rally here and get this thing a little bit closer. Facing Devin Makovsky of Newberry. Mackey settled. Here's the pitch. And he pops it up to the right. I believe that's going to be well out of play, and it is. But Mackey now in a 0-2 hole with 2 outs. Game 2 to follow. That's scheduled to be a 9-inning game, as the conference schedule, at least this year, has been Saturday, Sunday doubleheaders of 7 and 9 innings. Here's the pitch from Makovsky. And there's a swing and a miss. So Mackey goes down swinging, leaves a couple of Bears stranded, but the LR does push 1 run across thanks to an RBI single by E.J. Rennell to get Mike McHugh at home. And we'll head to the top of the 7th with the Bears now trailing 6-3. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everyone. We're heading into the top of the 7th here at Durham Field on the campus of Lenoir-Rhyne University. Bears trailing Newberry here 6-3. This game 1 of our doubleheader scheduled to be 7 innings. So unless the Bears are able to come back and at least tie here in the bottom half, we're looking at the closing moments of our game 1. But the Bears certainly have an opportunity to do that. Austin Blevins now on the mound for Lenoir-Rhyne. He in relief of Michael Allen. Allen pitched well, inning and a third. Only gave up 1 hit, struck out a couple. No runs, most important thing. And Nick Butler steps in for Newberry to face Blevins. Blevins comes set, and there's a pitch, and there's a strike. Butler struck out in the second. Had an RBI single and a stolen base in the third. Sac fly and RBI in the fourth. So he's driven in a couple of runs today for Newberry, and he'll face Austin Blevins for the first time, and there's strike two. So Austin's come in throwing strikes. And we'll see how he does here on his third pitch. Blevins is a sophomore from right up the road here in Granite Falls. Went to South Cole High School, and there's a ground ball to Ferlinda, who makes a long throw and gets Butler by a nose for out one. So Blevins, another local product here for Lenoir-Rhyne. South Caldwell, the home of Jeff Parham, who played some pretty good baseball for the Bears back in the 90s and has coached at South Caldwell for a long time. And Ian Clements is going to get a single to right here, and Newberry will have a base runner with one out here in the top of the seventh. Clements reached on an error in the second. Catcher reached on a catcher interference is, I believe, probably what happened. I never did get a clear understanding of what, but Clements, I think, reached on catcher interference back in the third, grounded out to short in the fourth. Gets a single to right here with one out in the top of the seventh. Zane Terrence, center fielder for the Wolves, steps in. And there's ball one. Clements, the Wolves catcher, and Bryce Stover, the Bears catcher, after I made a offhand comment that maybe catchers weren't the best runners. Clements proceeded to steal a base, and Stover beat out a bunt to first, so they put me in my place, and that's that. Blevins trying to keep Clements close, because as I mentioned, he does have a stolen base in this game. And goes again, and it's a pop-up. Is Stober going to have an opportunity at that? Maybe, and he does. Nice play, and Ian Clements has to scramble back to first. Nice play there by Bryce Stober. He has thrown a runner out today also, and like I said, great hustle to beat out a bunt. It was really, from how the Bears were situated on the bases, it was obviously supposed to be a sacrifice, and it was a great bunt. But just, sheer hustle got him to first base, and nice play for the freshman from Hickory High School, right a couple blocks down from here. And Dalton Lansdowne looked like he was going to square at a bunt, and Blevins kind of pitched out on that. Stober hoping maybe they could catch Ian Clements off first or break into second. That didn't happen, but it's ball one as Lansdowne, I guess, pulled the bat back in time. Ian Clements on first. Newberry leading here 6-3 in the top of the seventh. And that is a little bit low, ball two. Both bullpens are quiet, so I guess it's going to be Blevins. And I imagine it might be Makovsky comes back out. It looks like there is a pitcher in the Newberry bullpen, but as of right now, he's not really doing much. In fact, he's doing nothing. Well, here now he gets set. Looks like he might be trying to warm up a bit. 2-0 to count to Dalton Lansdowne. Ooh, close play. Nice throw by Blevins. Good snag by Mackey there at first as they try to keep Ian Clements close. Don't want another run across if you're the Bears, because you're already in a bit of a hole, and one more run certainly would not help. Ooh. And it looks like and sounds like Lansdowne got hit by a pitch, and he will trot down to first. So Lansdowne Took a glancing blow there. Looked like maybe off the, just above the elbow. He'll be on first, and Ian Clements will advance to second. We go back to the top of the order for Newberry and Zachary Bales. Bales 0 for 4 so far today. Flew out to center, a couple of strikeouts. Popped up to the pitcher. And Austin Blevins comes set here. 2 outs with runners on first and second for the Wolves. A little bit of a bobble by Stover, but he recovers, and Clements has to stay where he is. The Bears will have Clarno, Galassi, and Ferlinda in the 7th as they'll try to claw back into this one. But right now, Austin Blevins has to worry about a couple of Newberry runners on the bases. Strike one to... Correction, this is not Bales. I can't hear the PA announcer, really. This is Kenny Bergman. Is that the second time that's happened today to a Newberry batter? So Bergman, pinch hitting for Zach Bales, stands in with a 1-2 count and 2 outs. Kenny Bergman for the Wolves. Blevins comes set, and there's a swing and a miss, so Blevins gets out of the inning on a strikeout as pinch hitter Kenny Bergman goes down. And the Bears will trot back to the dugout, trying to rally from a 3-run deficit here in the bottom of the 7th, and this being a 7-inning game, we're down to our last chance. So, Newberry leading 6-3. We'll go to the bottom of the last, and the Bears coming to the plate, needing some runs. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. Surprising. And welcome back, everyone, as we're in the bottom of the 7th. Nick Clarno leading off for the Bears. And the Bears in need of some offense here as they trail 6-3. As I have mentioned a couple of times through the game, this is scheduled as a 7-inning game, so the Bears need 3 here to at least push it to extra innings. or they'll be facing 3 straight losses to the Wolves with 1 game pending, and that ball bounces up to the plate. Newberry changing pitchers here in the 7th. Bryce Peterson is on the mound for Newberry. Peterson's a junior from Coon Rapids, Minnesota, but evidently had been at a junior college in South Carolina whose name I cannot pronounce. And it's interesting because a friend of mine had a talk about this school the other day. I'd never heard of it. I think it's Salkehatchie. Looked like it was down in the, maybe in the Hilton Head area. And that is a Charlie Sheen Wild Thing pitch back to the backstop for Peterson. And it counts 3-1, so he may be a little hyped up here, trying to close this thing out, but has fallen behind Nick Clarno. And here's the pitch, and that's strike 2. Clarno thought maybe not, but he comes back to the box slowly. Nick grounded out to second in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd, but had an RBI single back in the 5th. Bears ended the 5th with the bases loaded. We're only able to push across 1 run, and that's happened twice today, and I think may come back to haunt Lenoir. Ground ball to second, and clean play there by Lansdowne to get Clarno for out 1 here in the bottom of the 7th. Drew Galassi will, I think, step to the plate. Let's see. Yes, that's correct. It's the time of the game we may get a pinch hitter here or so, but not so in this case. Drew Galassi had a single back in the 2nd, but was forced out at home on a bases-loaded ground ball. Struck out in the 3rd, then was hit by a pitch in the 5th. Let's see what he can do here against the Newberry pitcher, and he got hit by a pitch for a 2nd time. And I think, well, the umpire ran out. I wonder if it's a warning? I don't know, but Galassi hit by the pitch for the 2nd straight at-bat. Wasn't pleased. And Bryce Peterson continues to show some spotty control here in the top of the 7th. So Galassi on first with 1 out. Xander Ferlinda steps in for the Bears. And here's the pitch, and that is a ball. It seems like, over the years, it kind of feels like when a pitcher's having trouble with the strike zone, they don't get as many benefits of the doubt behind the plate from the umpire, and quickly it's a 2-0 count to Xander Ferlinda. Nobody in the Newberry bullpen, so this looks to be Bryce Peterson's game. And he's got a 6-3 lead, but has been a little shaky so far. There's a ground ball by Ferlinda right to the 3rd baseman. He gets the fleet out at first, and that's going to be safe at first. Just beat that out, did Ferlinda. So Galassi out on the 5-4. Force out as Ferlinda reaches on a fielder's choice, and with 2 outs, looks like it's coming down to Bryce Stober here as the last Bear hope to get a rally going. Stober has singled, was stranded on 3rd back in the 2nd inning, grounded out to 2nd, and popped up to the pitcher in what he expressed great frustration with. So the young catcher from Hickory High School has a chance to keep the Bears in it here. Xander Ferlinda on first, reached on a fielder's choice, and here's the pitch. And there's a ground ball, but right to 3rd base, and they're going to make the easy throw there to end game 1 of our South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. So Newberry is going to take this game 1 6-3 over the Bears. Newberry 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors. Bears 3 runs, 8 hits, and 3 errors. So not the cleanest game for Lenoir-Rhyne. but a couple of control problems by pitchers in the middle innings came back to haunt them a little bit, and the Bears are going to have to scramble around and fight to take one game out of 4 from Newberry, as we will come back to Game 2 here shortly. So, once again, it's Newberry 6, Lenoir-Rhyne 3, Game 1 of our doubleheader. We'll come back for Game 2 in about 15 or 20 minutes, I'd say. So stay with us, and we'll be back here shortly. Thanks for listening. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Baseball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. We'll be back in a few.